Today is the 2nd of June, 2020, and we live in amazing times. Just a couple of days ago, we watched the Falcon 9 rocket take off with a couple of crewmen on board, headed for the International Space Station, which is just amazing because this is the first time in, well, modern history anyway, that private industry has put people into space as opposed to the big gangs around the world that have been doing it previously. Of course, we're making that transition from spring to summer. So let's take a look at the garden and see what's going on here. Over here we've got a bank of daylilies that I planted a few years ago. These are all Stella de Oro, except for this one. This one is also Stella de Oro, but it's a dwarf that produces peach-colored flowers. Those came on early, but here we have just the little pods that start to form. These are edible as is, or you can pick the blossoms. The ants seem to like them too. And really, you have to pick the blossoms by afternoon of the day that they open up, because by tomorrow they'll be wilted and no good anymore. But so I'm going to have 3 more that will open up tomorrow morning, and then some more coming up behind that. These are about 4 or 5 a day from that group there. Our alder tree is coming along nicely in the front yard. This alder tree is important because it is not only a nitrogen fixing tree, but it also forms mycorrhizal associations with both the ectomycorrhizal fungi, the ones that associate with the nut trees, and with the endo or arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. Those are the ones that associate with most of your fruits and vegetables. So once this tree gets mature, it'll be essentially a hub for the various fungal life in the soil. Over here we have some more daylilies that are flowering up. These are a variety called Jamaican Sunrise, and those are the blooms, and you may as well pick them because it's evening now. They won't be there tomorrow.
They're pretty.
Those are very pretty, yeah. I like these ones. The old-fashioned orange ones will appear here in the next couple of days. They're starting to send up these scapes, but they're about at that stage. So maybe another week or 2 before the old-fashioned orange ones start producing flowers for me. But there's some of our harvest for the day. It's the first year for this little Jefferson cultivar of hazelnut. There are 3 different cultivars of hazelnut trees that I picked up from, Willis Orchards? These were developed by the University of Oregon. We have Jefferson, Etta, and Yamhill. They pollinate at different periods of the year so that whenever they begin producing nuts, they'll completely pollinate all the flowers, so we have a greater nut harvest. Hello. I got my head hung up on this great big old 6-year-old pecan tree. It's only 6 years old. Well, actually, it's been here for 5 years, but it was a year old when we planted it, making it a grand total of 6 years old. And of course, underneath of it, we've got some sweet potatoes planted. 1, 2, 3, 4. I had one more, but I guess that one didn't make it. Sweet potatoes, old-fashioned daylilies that didn't make the transplant. And of course, this one is also sweet potato. Look at that pretty little flower. This one is also a sweet potato, but this one is an ornamental. Pick one of those leaves there. Nice purplish leaves. These are good for salads. I'll make a salad out of this later. I've got some more in another spot that I'll pick. I've picked that one a little bit too much lately. Of course, over here we have another one of our hazelnut trees. I believe in the front garden area we've got a total of 6 of these hazelnuts. I've got more in the back garden. Alright, although they wound up getting killed off down to the roots once again, the fig trees are making a recovery. I'm going to eventually have to dig these up and move them to the south side of the house. Here in 7A, this fig is just not able to handle the winter. This plant here is a lavender. One of these little leaves here. and let the camera operator sniff. Nice pleasant scent. This is part of my scheme for dealing with mosquitoes. The idea is if I have these lavenders planted next to the walkways, every time a person walks by them after they get fully developed, they'll brush up against it and brush off some of that aromatic oil onto their clothes and onto their skin. And that smell confuses the mosquitoes and makes it harder for the female mosquito to find you, land on you, and start sucking your blood. Incidentally, mosquitoes ordinarily, they don't suck blood. It's just the females and just whenever they're trying to get the protein they need to make their eggs. The rest of the time, mosquitoes suck nectar. So, if you're out there and you're wearing bright colors and you're wearing fruity or flowery smelling perfumes and you're getting attacked by mosquitoes, that's why. You smell like their favorite food source.
You walk and smell like a flower.
Alright, what do we have over here? Well, over here we've got our blueberries, a whole line of them right here. And you'll notice that there's this black plastic on the ground around them. That's to stop the Bermuda grass, like this stuff, that's just growing everywhere, particularly in this little rock walkway here. So I'll put the plastic down. Oh, it's starting to fall apart. I'll put the plastic down to stop that Bermuda grass from growing in this area. Hopefully by this fall I'll be able to remove the plastic. But while it's there, it's going to do another important job for me. If you'll notice that we've got these blocks here. These blocks aren't just to hold the plastic in place. The bricks in particular, if you'll notice there's a little blueberry shoot coming up here. Now, what this is called layering. We take a sucker, it's a little side shoot, fresh growth from the blueberry plant, and we bend it over early in the spring and then anchor it in place with the brick. And then we cover it up with mulch. Here's a good example right here, actually. If you can zoom in on this one. So this is where that sucker was laid over, and the end is over here. But you'll see there's shoots here, here, and here. There's a new one coming out here, and that is mulched in all over the place. Now that sucker, the branch comes back here to the base of the plant, but it is forming roots for each one of these shoots under the mulch. A little bit more mulch covering there. Alright, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 new blueberry plants that have been formed right here at this spot. And I've got them layered everywhere along the plastic. So what the plastic is doing for us specifically, and I got this trick from Stefan Subkowiak. You can look up his YouTube channel. He's up in Canada. He runs a permaculture orchard up there. Great channel. You should go watch some of his stuff. This is where I got this trick. When you layer over the plastic, the tiny little fine roots that develop on top of the plastic. So whenever you separate that from the parent plant and you have your new rooted layered plant, you have all of the roots, including the tiny little feather roots that ordinarily you would lose if you were just digging into the ground and pulling the plant out. Isn't that cool? Right there marks the very edge of this planting box where the rosemary is. This rosemary here. This rosemary is 9 years old, and it's doing... Oh, here. Let me just... Hey, camera girl. It smells so great. This rosemary needs to be pruned. It needs to be pruned because, as you can see, it's extending 3 foot beyond its planting box out here into the driveway. It's taking over. And of course, this redbud tree is taking over too. I've tried for probably about 5 years to kill this tree off, but it keeps on coming back. So I've decided we're just gonna leave it. We'll keep it. It doesn't want to die. And well, every time we cut it back, we're just fertilizing the rosemary and making it grow better. So these plants here are yarrow, and your typical wild yarrow is going to have white flowers. These ones have been selectively bred for the pink and the red flowers. They're still just as effective medicinally as wild grown yarrow, but they look pretty. Okay, so there's more new yarrow growing here, 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 and here. These two are some valerian officinalis, I think it is. This is some of the plants that were started by Mark, Arkansas woodcutter. He brought those over. These are also were ones that he started. He brought these over and we got them planted out here. They seem to be doing pretty good so far. They should produce blue flowers, but they don't have any flowers on them yet. So, Bartlett pear tree, 5 years old. It's been planted in this location for 4 of those 5 years, and I pruned it down to 12 foot over the winter. But here are, well, here's one branch with all the pears that is producing this year. More there, some there. That's a lot of pears. Last year I had to pick about half of them off before they got mature because otherwise the limbs would have broken, so I had to make sure that we pruned it really well. Of course, this here is another one of our hazelnuts. This is a 2-year-old hazelnut. I'm not sure which cultivar this is. Whenever I put them in, I made the error of thinking that if I just remembered what I planted, where, that would be sufficient, but unfortunately I'm old and my memory's not so good, so I cannot remember which cultivar this is. Once again, by comparison, I'm 6 foot tall. This is a 2-year-old hazelnut tree. Yeah, it's getting there. This one is another 6-year-old pecan tree. Been planted in this spot for 5 years. From my thumb to my pinky, that spread is a total of 9 inches. And that is about 4.5 inches. So if I put my thumb there, right on the outer edge, 4.5, that looks like about maybe 5 inches at the base. Yeah, it's still pretty thick. That's a lot of growth for just a short amount of time. And these trees are producing nuts. Not a whole lot of nuts yet, but they are producing some. I've got another little bit of video where I actually, well, I'll show you. This is where having a camera with autofocus would be great. Now, behind my index finger right there, actually in front of my index finger right there, are 2 little nuts forming right there on the end of the branch, and there's just hundreds of them. Alright, so this big shaggy beast is a Himalayan Lifeberry, or Goji berry. It hasn't produced the berries yet this year, but you'll see all of these fuchsia colored flowers. Well, there's a berry coming on right there, it's still green. Can you zoom in on that one? These will be a nice rich red by the time they're mature. They won't be much bigger than that. It's not the sweetest fruit in the world, but it is loaded with vitamins, particularly vitamin B. It's said that when mature, a dozen of these trees can provide all the nutritional needs of a human being for a lifetime. I'm still going to eat some nuts though. Okay. Sorry, wasp. I just did the entire pull the plant back and slap you in the face with it. Oh, there it is, there it is. Zoom on that wasp. That is the wasp doing what the wasp is here to do. Do you see what it's doing? Can you zoom in on it? Can you see it? That wasp right there. He's got his caterpillar. And he's going to go take that off. He's going to take that caterpillar off and put it in the nest to feed his babies, or her babies. But that's why you want wasps in your garden, folks. Did you see it? It's cool. Alright, so basil right here, coming along. This is a pea. I'm going to go ahead and pick some of these peas. These are the Cherokee Trail of Tears black beans. And that's the little vining tendril emerging from this one. That means this one is ready to start training. And we're just going to have it reach over here to the twine and tell it to grab the twine. There we go. The plant will take over from there. And it will grow up the string to the top of the pole. Hi.
Squeaker!
Hi. This is Sergeant.
He is our wildcat.
Sergeant is our outdoor kitty. He's our rodent hunter. You catch that gopher yet? I've seen you watching the holes. You catch that gopher yet? The one that's been busy eating my garlic? You get that gopher for me, huh? These are transplanted day lilies. Here's the scapes with little buds at the top, so we're going to get some flowers out of them after all this year. And they're doing okay. There's the corn that we planted not too long ago. It's not quite knee-high yet, but it's still got another month to go before the 4th of July. Of course, back here is the culture mound with the cat and the garlic. And there's this bare spot all the way through here where some critter's been coming along underground, grabbing the bulbs underground and then eating them before I can get to them to harvest them. And of course, I'm hoping Kitty will catch that critter, gopher, rat, whatever it is, so I will still have some garlic. But okay, this little stand here is full of the babies that we transplanted earlier, the baby Egyptian walking onions, and even though they're young, they're starting to try to put on top sets of their own. This one's about ready to take and replant. As a matter of fact, we'll just pinch that off at the top there. So now I've got, this is what they do, the plant grows up, produces the top sets, and then the top sets produce more plants, and if given enough time, they'll produce top sets of their own. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5, potentially 5 new plants in here. And I'm just going to clear a spot for them right here. It's amazing how hard the ground gets whenever it doesn't have adequate cover. Alright, I'm just going to put them down there. Got a little dirt around them. We'll give them a light soak later on and Mother Nature will take care of the rest. And of course, all over back here I'm surrounded by more of these walking onion plants that are ready to have the top sets relocated. Here's one where, here we go, here's the first generation plant, second generation there, third generation here, and there at the end, fourth generation, all in the same plant. 4 generations living in the same space.
Sounds like a packed house.
Yeah, it's a full house, huh? Well folks, that's all I got for you today. If you found the video entertaining or informative, please hit the like button. Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Subscribe to the channel, share this video, bang the notification bell, and good people, I will catch you next time.